You walked into that room completely fine. You had energy, you had things you wanted to say, you were ready. And then, somewhere between the second handshake and the third conversation you never asked to be in, something started pulling out of you. Not slowly, fast, like someone reached in and flipped a switch you didn't even know existed. And right now, some part of you is already measuring the distance to the nearest exit. I know that feeling, not as a theory. I know it because I spent years being the person who disappeared into the bathroom at every party, every conference, every family gathering that ran 30 minutes longer than I could handle. I told myself I was just wired differently, that some people could do crowds and I simply wasn't one of them. That story was wrong, and today I'm going to prove it to you with a 4-minute protocol that resets your nervous system from inside a crowd, without leaving the room, without anyone around you knowing you're doing a single thing. If you feel drained in crowds, if your social battery hits zero before the event is even half over, stay with me, because what I'm about to give you changes everything about how you handle these moments. My name is Dr. Silas Kincaid, and here at MindTake, we live by one truth above everything else. We take the breath so we can grow the life. That is not a motivational line, that is a biological instruction, and the next few minutes are going to show you exactly what it means in practice. Let's start with the problem, because most people are diagnosing this wrong, and that wrong diagnosis is keeping them stuck. When you walk into a crowded room and feel that familiar drain starting, that heaviness behind the eyes, that low buzz of overwhelmed before anyone has even spoken to you directly, what do you tell yourself? Most people say, I'm just an introvert. This is just how I am. I need to leave. Here is what is actually happening in your body. It's 2026, and the world you're walking into at any given social event is not the world your nervous system was designed to navigate. Think about what a single gathering looks like right now. Half the people are physically present, the other half might be faces on a mounted screen in a hybrid office setup. Overhead speakers are managing ambient sound. Your wearable is tracking your pulse. Notifications are stacking silently on your phone, and some part of your brain is fully aware of that even with the screen off. A smart city sound system is humming somewhere in the building's infrastructure. Your nervous system is not processing one room, it is processing 3 environments simultaneously. And here is the piece that changes everything. Research is now confirming that social fatigue is not about the number of people in a room, it is about signal density, the cognitive cost of processing that many simultaneous inputs, faces, tones, voices, movements, your own body language, their body language, the subtext of every exchange. That cost is what exhausts you, not the people themselves. I call this the phantom buzz. You know exactly what I mean. That feeling when the room goes quiet for a second and you still feel a vibration in your chest. When nobody's talking directly to you, but your brain is still running at full load, scanning everything in your peripheral field. That is your cortisol doing what cortisol is built to do. Keep you alert to every potential signal in your environment. The problem is, your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a genuine social threat and a room full of strangers talking loudly near a cheese board. Same chemical signal, same energy drain, same feeling of wanting to disappear. But here's the critical thing I need you to hear. That signal is biological, and biological signals respond to biological tools. You're not broken. You're not just an introvert who needs to try harder. You are someone who has never been given the right recovery system. Until right now. In a moment, I'm going to walk you through the complete 4-minute protocol, step by step, and then I'm going to give you something most people miss entirely, the stealth tools that keep you recovered once the reset is done, so you don't drain straight back to zero the moment you re-enter the room. That piece alone is worth everything. Let's build your reset. The protocol runs 240 seconds, 4 minutes exactly, and it has 3 phases. Each one builds on the one before it. You can run this standing at an event, eyes open, drink in hand, nobody around you will see a thing. Phase 1 is what I call the box plus breath sequence. This runs for 60 seconds. You may have heard of standard box breathing, 4 counts in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold. It works, but for high-density crowd environments specifically, there is one modification that makes it significantly more powerful. Here's what you do. Breathe in through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 4, breathe out through your mouth for 6 counts. That's longer than the inhale. Hold for 2. Then repeat. That extended exhale is not random. Your exhale directly stimulates the vagus nerve, the long nerve that runs from your brainstem through your chest and into your gut. The vagus nerve is your express lane to the parasympathetic nervous system, the branch of your biology responsible for rest and recovery. When your exhale is longer than your inhale, you are sending a direct chemical signal to your body that the threat has passed. Cortisol begins to drop, heart rate variability improves, the noise in your system starts to clear. We take the breath, and that single act begins to grow back what the crowd took from you. Do this cycle 3 times. That's your 60 seconds. Do it while someone else is talking. Do it while you're standing at the edge of a conversation. Nobody will see it. Nobody will know. Phase 2 is the sensory scan, another 60 seconds. Right now, your brain is running a background program I call ambient surveillance. It is continuously scanning every face, every voice, every shift in body language in your environment. Looking for social data it can process. It never fully stops. And in a dense crowd, this background program is consuming enormous amounts of your cognitive energy without you even being aware it's running. The sensory scan briefly interrupts that program. Here's what you do. Without moving your head dramatically, shift your focus to one single non-human detail in the room. A texture on the wall, a light fitting, the pattern on the carpet. Now name it silently to yourself. Just the plain observation. Gray, rough, rectangular. Then shift to one sound that is not a human sound. Air conditioning, music from a speaker, traffic through a window. Name it the same way. Low, steady, far away. What you are doing is pulling your brain's attention out of social processing mode, even briefly, and redirecting it to neutral sensory information. Neutral information does not trigger cortisol. It does not activate your threat detection. It is simply data. And 60 seconds of neutral data gives your social processor a genuine micro rest. Not a full reboot, but enough to lift the heaviness.
Phase 3 is the mental cache clear, 60 seconds. If you can find a still moment, leaning against a wall, sitting at a table, looking down at your phone, this is the most powerful 60 seconds of the 4 minutes. Picture your mind as a screen with too many open tabs. You're not trying to close all of them. You're not managing anything. You're simply opening one new tab, blank, white, clean. And you sit with that tab for about 20 seconds. No content on it, just the clean space itself. Then you bring your attention slowly back into your body. The weight of your feet on the floor, the temperature of the air on your skin, the quiet fact that you are physically okay and physically safe in this room. This works because visualization activates many of the same neural pathways that actual experience does. A clean, imagined space triggers a genuine pattern shift in how your prefrontal cortex is managing attention. The mental weight, that heavy logged-in feeling behind your eyes, starts to lift. 3 phases, 60 seconds each, 4 minutes total. At the end of those 4 minutes, your cortisol is measurably lower, your vagal tone is improved, your cognitive load is lighter. You are in a biologically different state than you were before you started. But, and this is the pace I promised you, if you walk straight back into the highest energy corner of the room, you'll be back at 0 in 15 minutes. So here is what you do next. I want to stop here for a second and tell you something. The hardest crowd I ever had to navigate wasn't a party or a conference. It was a hospital waiting room. My brother had been in an accident. The room was full. Every sound was amplified. Every face felt like a demand. And I had no tools. I just sat there feeling the walls closing in at the exact moment I needed to be present for my family more than anything. I built this protocol years after that night. I built it because I never wanted to feel that helpless in a crowd again. And because I know there are people watching this who have felt versions of that same thing. Not in a crisis, just in ordinary life. Just trying to get through an ordinary social event without feeling like you're running out of air. You deserve better tools than try harder and push through. Here they are. What I call the stealth recharge tools are things you can do in plain sight that look completely normal to everyone around you, while your system continues to recover after the reset. The first is the false phone call. Walk toward a slightly less crowded part of the room. Hold up your phone as though you just received a message and look at it for about 90 seconds. No one in 2026 questions this. No one even notices. But what is happening in your body during those 90 seconds is significant. You have removed the requirement for eye contact. You've removed the requirement for facial expression performance. You have given your social processing system a genuine break. Out in the open, no retreat required. The second is the water bottle anchor. Holding any object, a drink, a cup, even just something in your hand, gives your nervous system a ground signal. Your hands have a job, and when your hands have a defined task, a measurable portion of the "what do I do with my body" low-level anxiety dissolves. The object becomes a signal to your brain: I am engaged with something, I am not exposed, I am stable. Object anchoring in high social environments has consistent data behind it. It sounds almost too simple. Use it anyway. The third tool is for anyone wearing modern earbuds or hearables with a transparency or ambient mode. Most of these devices in 2026 have settings that filter and slightly reduce ambient noise volume while keeping you fully present in conversation. Used deliberately at a loud event, this creates what I think of as a sonic buffer. You're still hearing everything that matters, but the raw sensory density of the room is marginally reduced. Even a 10 to 15 decibel drop in ambient noise meaningfully lowers the cognitive cost of staying in the space. That buffer buys you time and keeps your reset working longer. And finally, micro-gestures. Small, controlled physical movements send ground signals to your nervous system through proprioception, your body's internal sense of where it is and whether it is safe. Try this right now, wherever you're watching from. Press the tips of your fingers together lightly, or press your feet flat into the floor and just feel the pressure under them. These tiny gestures tell your brain, I am here, I am stable, I am in control of my physical space. In a crowd, they work the same way. Invisible to everyone around you, felt entirely by your nervous system. You are now recovered and protected. Here is how you keep it that way. This next part is the one most people never get to, and it's the most important thing in this entire video. Think about the room you're in at your next social event as a physical landscape with different energy zones, because that's exactly what it is. Almost every crowded space has zones of high-frequency social energy, clusters where the conversations are loud, where the emotional temperature is elevated, where the performance demand on you is constant. You will feel these zones before you can consciously name them, a slight tightening in your chest, a quickening of your internal pace. When you feel that signal, move. Not dramatically, just drift, physically relocate toward a lower frequency pocket, near the food table, near the edge of the room, near a window, near the hallway. The social physics of a room are real. Some zones drain, some zones preserve. You are now someone who knows the difference. The second skill to protect your recovered energy is what I call a polite pivot. At some point, you will get caught by a high-energy person who is running their own social agenda at full volume. You will feel your battery dropping in real time. Here is a script that works in almost every situation. It's warm, it's clean, and it does not make you the mood killer. You say, I love this. I need to grab a drink and find someone I promised to catch up with, but let's come back to this. And you move. No long explanation, no awkward backing away, a warm redirect, and you have protected yourself without damaging the relationship or the evening. The third protection tool is the micro-boundary re-entry. When you step back into a conversation after your reset, you do not need to immediately return to full performance mode. Give yourself 2 minutes at about 60%. Ask questions instead of making statements. Let the other person carry the weight of the exchange while your system finishes stabilizing. The best athletes in the world do not sprint the moment they come back from a rest period. They pace their return. So can you. Nobody around you will notice. They're too focused on themselves. Your energy is not a flaw. It is a resource, and the people who manage it well are the ones who end the light still standing, still present, still genuine, still actually there for the moments and people that matter. Now, I want to give you something that makes tonight's protocol almost unnecessary by next month.
What I call the pre-charge is the long game of social energy management, and it works by applying the same logic that serious athletes use before a demanding performance. Nobody serious walks into a hard session on an empty tank. They fuel before they go. Here's your 3-step fuel routine. First, 7 hours of sleep the night before any high social event. Not because you need rest in the general sense, because your vagal tone, your cortisol baseline, and your cognitive processing speed are all directly tied to sleep quality. Walking into a crowd well-rested means walking in with a full battery. Walking in sleep-deprived means you start at roughly 40% before the first conversation. This is not optional, it is preparation. Second, 20 minutes of genuine solo time the morning of the event. Not productive time, not your phone, not input of any kind. A slow walk, sitting with a coffee in a window, quiet. Your nervous system needs a baseline of calm before it can handle complexity without cost. You cannot charge a phone by running more apps on it. You plug it in and leave it alone. Do the same for yourself. Third, intentional arrival. This is the move almost nobody makes, and it is one of the most powerful things in this entire video. Arrive slightly early when you can. The first 15 minutes of any gathering are when the room is at its lowest density and lowest noise floor. You get to enter when the environment is still manageable. You calibrate slowly. You meet a few people without the full pressure of a packed room. You find your place in the space before it gets loud. Early arrival is a nervous system strategy, not a personality trait. It does not mean you love arriving early. It means you are smart about how you spend your social energy. Here is where I want to pause and ask you something. If this is landing for you, if you've been watching this and nodding because you know this feeling from the inside, drop a comment right now and just tell me the last place where you felt your social battery hit zero. It might be a party, a work event, a family dinner that went 3 hours too long. I read every comment, and knowing where this hits people hardest helps me build the next resource for exactly that situation. Here is everything I want you to carry out of this video. The phantom buzz is real, it is biological, and it is fixable. The box plus breath sequence targets your vagus nerve and drops your cortisol in under 60 seconds, and you can do it in a crowd without anyone seeing. The sensory scan gives your social processor a genuine rest without leaving the room. The mental cache clear lifts the heaviness and resets your attention. The stealth tools, the false phone call, the water bottle anchor, the sonic buffer, the micro gestures protect your recovery while you stay present. The energy leak zone awareness, the polite pivot, and the micro boundary re-entry keep your battery in the green once it's back there. 4 minutes, and everything about how you experience a crowd can shift. Save this video right now and subscribe, not because I'm asking you to, but because the next time you feel that phantom buzz starting in your chest, at a party, at a conference, in a room full of people who need something from you, you are going to want this in front of you immediately. Open it, run the protocol, walk back into that room knowing exactly what you were doing, because now you do. We take the breath, and from that breath, we grow the life. I'm Dr. Silas Kincaid. I'll see you in the next one.